Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Although these words were said by a Chinese philosopher, they fit our country so well. And this city might be the best witness of history of Poland, being its capital for so many centuries. Hi, my name is Damian Urbańczyk, and in this episode of Checkout Time, I'm going to show you Krakow with some of its most beautiful sights. What is Wawel Castle, both for Krakow and for the entire Poland?
This hill has been, since the early Middle Ages, a place where two powers, secular and ecclesiastical, had their seats, and that essentially determined Wawel's significance for Poland, and more broadly speaking, for Central Europe. As early as the turn of the 10th and 11th centuries, the ruler from the PS dynasty established his seat here, and so these two powers, secular and ecclesiastical, remained intertwined for the next several hundred years. This was especially reflected in the unique function of the Krakow Cathedral as the site of royal coronations.
The first Polish king was crowned in Gniezno exactly 1,000 years ago, in 1025. But the first coronation at Wawel took place in 1320, and the father of Casimir the Great was crowned here using most certainly this sword called szczerbiec. Later, it was used subsequently in almost all coronations. This is the sharpest proof of Wawel's power and history.
In the 19th century, Wawel took on an entirely new function. During the time of the partitions, it became a place for commemorating past glory. It was then that the cathedral was transformed into the national pantheon of Poles. All the most distinguished Poles were buried within the walls of the Krakow Cathedral.
We are right now in a room that, judging by its name, remembers the times of Casimir the Great.
Yes, we are in a place where not only the space has been preserved, but also, quite literally, the architecture from the time of King Casimir the Great. Right now, we're in a residential chamber, and this is evidenced by elements that were only found in living quarters, not in ceremonial spaces. Just off to the side, we can see the entrance to a very important room from the perspective of daily life in a residence, something that was called a locus secretus. In other words, a latrine. All residential rooms had to be heated and have access to such facilities. Today, of course, that toilet space is no longer preserved.
Why did this king in particular deserve to be called the Great?
There were many reasons for this. It is well known that Casimir the Great invested heavily in the country's defences and fortifications. He also invested in places, residences, from which he ruled. We have to remember that in the 14th century, across Europe, the system of power worked differently. The ruler would travel. It was the era of the Rex Vagans, the wandering king, moving across the land. There was no such thing as a single capital city. Casimir the Great undoubtedly earned his nickname by expanding the territory of the Polish kingdom. It's important to remember that he annexed Red Ruthenia and Lviv. Another aspect, not tied to material heritage, includes his founding of the university in Krakow, the second one in Central Europe after Prague. That was a major event. Thanks to this university, the country could form an elite class that co-governed, especially legal experts. Thanks to Casimir the Great, Poland and Krakow became part of this elite system of higher education. The situation of the Polish kingdom changed because its citizens no longer had to go abroad to receive a proper education. Quite the opposite. It was now Krakow that became the place people came to from other countries.
Kraków stał się miejscem, do którego z innych krajów przyjeżdżano.
In Polish we have this saying about Kazimierz the Great. Zastał Polskę drewnianą, a zostawił murowaną. He found Poland made of wood, and he left it made of stone, which signifies a huge influence this monarch had on our country. And I think that Wawel is the best place to pause and to think about the history which shaped Poland. In order to deserve being called the Great by the future generations, you need to prove yourself as a ruler. And Casimir III most certainly did. Krakow is filled with his heritage, even in a place which I'm going to show you right now. You can feel the energy and the history of Krakow as soon as you enter the door of Stradom House. But why did I mention Casimir the Great? Well, maybe because in the 14th century he founded the original building, which right now houses this incredible hotel. Although this hotel is new, its history dates back to 14th century.
That's true. It's the 14th century. It's the end of reigning by the king Casimir the Great, one of the greatest kings of Poland, and he founded here a monastery. Then it was transformed into a warehouse in the 19th century. And then, after Second World War, social housing. So the history is very big, and we can feel it everywhere.
I found it quite bizarre that in your elevator you have a Latin sentence saying "Si vis pacem para bellum," which means if you want peace, prepare for war. Why is it here?
It's a heritage of the building, which was transformed, as I said, in the 19th century into the warehouse by the Austro-Hungarian rulers of the Galicia. And, you know, they put it on the facade of the building, and we restored this inscription, and you can see it now from the street. So it's the past of the building, which was a warehouse of the Austro-Hungarian garrison, and then after First World War of the Polish garrison.
Almost 7 centuries ago, people of Krakow started building brick by brick and stone by stone a monastery commissioned by Casimir the Great. Later, it became a custom house or eventually even a military corps. Right now, it is this glorious hotel. So throughout centuries, people prayed here for peace and planned war. Sometimes even collected money to maintain the first or to win the latter. And nowadays, people simply enjoy spending time here and experience its history. But unlike in any museum, you can actually touch it here. History is an amazing friend, but in this hotel, we can feel its presence every step we take.
That's what we wanted to achieve, you know, to feel the history, to feel the history of Krakow, which is a historical city. So it's a city of the heritage. It's the heritage UNESCO, you know, zone here, where we have our hotel. So it's important, but I think the most amazing thing is it's not a fully historical place, but this history is mixed with the new trends, and that's why it's so unique here in Stradom House, that you can feel the history, but you can feel also the modern trends of the hospitality, of the, you know, biggest and the best hotels in the world.
Creating our program, I have this unquenchable thirst to make it the best across the board. And this is why I invite you to historic hotels, tell you their unbelievable stories, and show you their beauty. But now, even I'm blown away. Simply take a look around. The impressive interior of the Hedwig's Club, which is located in a former Baroque chapel, where the vault reaches 10 meters above the floor, simply invites you to spend your time here. Everything is served with a slice of art and a big pinch of history. How did it feel and how was it possible to incorporate modern ideas into such historic place?
To mix this heritage building with modern trends from London, from Madrid, from Paris, New York, to bring it here. Kind of new energy, to bring it here to Krakow. One of those spectacular parts of this building is the chapel loft. If you enter there, you feel absolutely in the modern 21st century.
It is said that Saint Hedwig could turn water into wine. So it is apt that the Hedwig's Club, formerly a chapel, is now a show-stopping bar. And the space above the chapel was transformed into a luxurious 155 square meters big suite with breathtaking views over Krakow. It is called the Chapel Loft. You were born and raised in Krakow, so you must feel presence of Kazimierz the Great everywhere you go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's kind of personality who created our city. And every time I'm going to work, I'm working in a building which was built by Kazimierz the Great. So without this big personality, this city wouldn't be as pretty as it is, as big as it is. Who knows what would happen without Kazimierz the Great?
Every square meter of this place looks like money well spent. This is what you can get when you create a historic hotel, having resources and creative ideas. Take this corridor, for example. It used to be an underground of a monastery and later a passage walking to the stables. Right now, you can use it to get to the stable rooms or to the SÓL Spa, where you can treat yourself to a bit of escapism. The entire hotel focuses on the history of Krakow. The lobby, for example, those beautiful tiles.
I think not only about the history, I think also it's about art. And something which we are very proud of here, it's the art collection. And why we are proud? Because it's not easy to have the local community who will be ready to open the door and to enjoy the hotel spaces.
Wouldn't you say that people still get intimidated by such marvelous places, by five-star hotels?
Yes, they are, but it's our work and our job to show them we are a very open place. Yes, we are open for the art, we are open for the culture, we are open for different cultures also. And trust me, we have already people who are coming here and just asking, I'm just here to have a tour, yes? Because I would like to see, for example, oh, you have this painting here. Can I go and see?
Art is considered to be a human characteristic, since it describes people's behaviors, aspirations, and emotions. So staying in a hotel and being surrounded by works of artists such as Sasnal, Gil, or Skop increases the feeling of comfort and joy. Being a general manager, you must know every single place here. Which one is your favorite, visual-wise, for example?
I know this building from the, from the walls. I love our library room, music room, the story room. Cozy, lovely place when you can, first of all, you can choose your book. Secondly, you can play your own music.
I absolutely love reading books, so when I found out about the existence of this hotel library, I had to visit it. And to be quite frank, I wouldn't mind putting my bed in here and calling it my room. This is definitely one of my favorite places in this hotel. Although the Jagiellonian University was founded by Casimir the Great, it bears the name of the Jagiellonian dynasty. It symbolizes continuity of the Polish state and puts Krakow amongst one of the most important educational centers in entire Europe. Why isn't the Krakowian University called the Kazimirian University, but Jagiellonian?
Very good question, and we are a bit inconsistent about it. Why? It's because the university created by the Casimir the Great had a very short existence. In fact, the king died soon after the establishment of the university, and his successor was not interested in the continuation of this institution.
So basically, university ceased to exist.
It ceased to exist, and it was only 30 years later when the university was restored by successors of Casimir, Queen Jadwiga and the King Władysław Jagiełło.
Why was it so important for Casimir III to establish a university in the 14th century in Krakow?
For most of European countries, the middle of the 14th century was rather a grim time. There was plague, Black Plague, which decimated the populations, wars like 100 Years' War. But in Poland, this time is remembered as the time of civilizational advancement, economic growth, and it is associated with the name Kazimierz the Great, the ruler, who gave Poland strength, wealth, and prestige. And for the civilizational progress, literacy and education were also essential.
Plus ratio quam vis. It is a Latin phrase which means reason means more than force, and it is a motto of the Jagiellonian University. But in case of Krakow, it is the force of reason which made the city develop and flourish. Who are the most famous alumni?
Of course, I have to mention Nicolaus Copernicus. This university was known for astronomy and mathematics back then. Many students, foreigners, were coming to Krakow to study here. And Copernicus was 18 years old when he started his studies, and he spent here 4 years. Here in Poland, he could already get some first inspirations for his crazy idea that the Earth revolves around the Sun.
Do you know that whenever I go somewhere, a place which Copernicus visited, people from there claim that this is the place where he might have gotten the idea about the Earth moving around the Sun.
Of course, it's understandable. It is one of the most revolutionary ideas in the history of science. It basically started the scientific revolution and brought us here where we are today. So it is not weird that the success has many fathers.
I believe that there were 29 kings of our country from the first coronation to the partition of Poland. But 3 names were responsible for igniting the flame of knowledge in Krakow. Casimir the Great, who founded this university, Hedwig, who paid to bring it back to life, and Jagiełło, who made it happen. 3 names responsible for education of millions. $130,000 students studying in Krakow yearly, 800,000 permanent residents, and 12 million tourists visiting this beautiful city every year. This is Krakow in numbers. But let's leave numbers to the scholars, because they won't show you the beauty of Krakow. And I hope that we did, at least a little. See you next time.